afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we'll be doing a new segment about the Klondike Gold Rush.
First, we will give you a bit of background information.
This is the place where the gold rush started. Between 1896 and 1899, many people rushed to Yukon Valley located in northwestern Canada for gold. About 100,000 people set off with the Yukon, but only 30,000 were successful.
The first hint of gold was discovered by Jim Mason and Dawson Charley on August 16, 1896 in Carmack. They found the gold in Rabbit Creek, later renamed to Bonanza Creek, a Klondike river that ran through Alaskan and Yukon territory. This also led to the construction of Dawson City and the start of the gold rush.
The trails weren't easy. They were long and hard and had difficult terrain to pass through. The gold seekers faced diseases, cold weather, hunger, and fatigue. Trails such as the White Patch Trail slowed down the progress of gold seekers. The quaint town of Dawson City was an oasis for gold miners in Alaska.
Dawson City was built on the Yukon River in 1896. It was established during the time of the Klondike Gold Rush to serve as a resting place for miners willing to stay there. Eventually, in 1898, the city's population rose up to 40,000, but in 1899 died out to 8,000 after the gold rush ended. Of the 30,000 miners that arrived, only around 4,000 miners found gold.
Dawson City had a lot of buildings, including hotels, resting places, and saloons. Miners that struck it rich went home, but some stayed at Dawson City. The other miners continued their labor, either going home rich, empty-handed, or not going home at all.
Dawson City was home to the Northern Navigation Company's steamship line, which sent gold and miners in and out of Yukon's valley. There also was a Klondike Mines railway system that transported miners.
Buck's journey begins at his owner's house, Judge Miller, in Santa Clara, California. Buck is a domesticated dog relaxing with his owner when gold is suddenly discovered in the Yukon Territory in Canada. Buck was stolen from one of Miller's gardeners and then was sold into the sled trade. Buck was sold to dog traders in the north, where he is shipped off and gets abused along the way. Buck makes a rival with the lead sled dog, Spitz, and they fight later on. Buck kills Spitz and becomes the lead sled dog. Buck makes a new friend named Thornton, and he saves Thornton from drowning later. Thornton and his crew died to Native Americans, and Buck comes back each year to where Thornton died to mourn.
1, 2, 3, time again for Tennessee, Tuxedo and his tail. This portion presented by the Big G General Mills Cereals, makers of Cheerios, the toasted oat cereal with Go.
Good grief, Cheerios, kid, what are you doing? Charming a snake, Sue. Lots of luck, pal. Hold it, Sue. I've mastered the technique. Watch. See how he's cuddling? He really loves us. The only thing he loves us for is lunch. I see what you mean. Quick, Sue. I need Cheerios Go. Shaped like an O, like an O, like an O. It's slam, bang, blast off, power, pop, and go. I've got Cheerios Go, Go, Go power. Then you'd better go before we're gone. Remember, Big G, little O. Go with the goodness of Cheerios. What do you say, Sue?
Play the piano. It's safer.
The Call of the Wild was an interesting book to read because it came from the perspective of a dog named Buck. He had went through many problems like being kidnapped from his owner and then sold to somewhere cold. Buck then had to adapt to the cold and learn new ways to survive. The only thing that I didn't like was about how Buck and the other dogs got beat up. This book was very short and very exciting to read, and I would recommend this book to readers who are looking for adventure.
To me, the book Call of the Wild was a mix of adventure and tragedy, as Buck is kidnapped from home and sold into harsh labor as a sled dog. He suffered many tragedies such as beatings and the loss of many other sled dogs. This book was a short, fun read, and the story was enjoyable, and I followed the character well. I would recommend this book to readers looking for a short, fun read.
The Call of the Wild was a very interesting and fun book. The story being narrated from Buck's point of view is something new and unique. I felt that the book did a good job of putting the reader in Buck's perspective and telling a story of him and explaining the Yukon Gold Rush. But if I had to criticize the book, I would say that the author did not do a really good job of making the book entertaining. Some parts of the book were very bland and did not have to do with the main storyline. Other parts had unnecessary words thrown into them that made the book long and confusing, and the characters were not described well enough.
In The Call of the Wild, I felt that it was a pretty good book because it was told from the perspective of a dog. This is my first time reading and experiencing something like this, and it was pretty interesting. The most interesting part to me was the beginning, because I got to read about Buck's growth into becoming a sled dog, and how he slowly got more used to the routines they had to go through. I didn't get too attached to Thornton because when he died, it didn't affect me as much as it would to some people. When Thornton died, his death was more of a background character death than a main character death to me. Good afternoon, Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Stanley, your chair's in the shot. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we will have an No, Stanley.